Dannis Wolf Bish died March 10th, 2012, the Orlando chapter. Jane asked that I read this poem in behalf of Dannis. The roots of love sink down deep and strike out far, and they are arteries that feed our lives. So we must see that they get the water and the sun they need so they can nourish us. And when you put something good into the world, something good comes back to you. Before we come up and dedicate to Dannis, I would like to say, Jane,
We love
you have been an inspiration to us. Your perseverance and good attitude and your healing is, we love you. You're our sister. You'll always be our family, all your family.
Yeah, Dannis was a real special brother to us. You know, he came right in here and lowered his shoulder and got right to it, and he always did that. And he was a pleasure to be around, man. It was a lot of fun. He always went to D.C. We had great times together, and even he was not a veteran, but he was a firefighter, and he was a server to the community, and he loved it. And I used to say, "This is Dannis, he's a firefighter." He said, "Bullshit, I'm a fireman." Okay, you're a fireman. And that's what it was. And we're going to miss him terribly. But we got Jane, and Jane will be with us always. So we're going to place Dannis's brick, and anybody else wants to say something, please do.
Whenever Dannis wasn't working, if we had projects out here, he was here all the time. I remember in particular when we were building the stage, he and I and Tony and Guido were up on the roof there. And the thing with Dannis was, and the thing I miss the most about him, he's always a smart ass. He had something, he had something wise to say about everything, but not in an offending way. And that's, I really miss him. Thanks.
I just love that brother, and he's going to leave a hole in this chapter that will not be filled. I just love that guy, and I'm going to miss him.
I too loved Dannis. Had an opportunity to introduce him to my family. We went to Sturgis together. True leader. He watched over my family as we rode together. Told them what to do and how to do it and how to keep us safe. Was just a wonderful leader, and my family loved him, and I know they'd want to send their love to his family. And a true man. I just absolutely loved him.
Come up here.
He was very warped.
He was warped.
Very kind. Always picking on somebody.
All right. If you're going to say something, get up to the mic.
Big
I
heart.
too remember Dannis so well, and one of the biggest things was out in Sturgis. I'm not an experienced rider by any means, but he was always in the back, always watching out for me, teaching me how to turn on those hairpin turns, and keeping me in my own place where I should be riding with the group. So Dannis, you're there, and every time I go through the hairpin turns now, I think about him.
Oh, good girl.
One thing I have to say is when I was prospecting, Dannis was one of the worst. One of the worst on my back. He was always on me. But once I got patched, he was a brother. I'll miss him greatly.
Dannis and I stood right here on this very spot about a little over 3 years ago, and we passed on the very same day. I always called him my partner in crime because we were always scheming what we were going to do to the prospects next. He and I, every time we went to Fernandina Beach, he was always my roomie because we were always scheming in the room what we're going to do. And we had a mutual understanding. You stayed on your side of the room, I stayed on mine, and there'd be no gunfire, you know? Yeah, I'm going to miss him dearly.
I know my wife would like to say something, but I don't think she would speak right now. But the day Dannis got patched, she was in there sewing. And he come in with his patches. Now there was already 2 or 3 people in line ahead of him. And he got a little bit, well, he was Dannis. He was a little bit of an asshole. He said, well, I'm the new patch holder. I should go in front of everybody. She pretty much told him, you'll wait your place in line just like everybody else. After it was all done,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we're on our way home, and she goes,
I'm sorry.
the guy you just passed, she goes, he's an arrogant son of a bitch. I said, well, that's Dannis. I said, but once you get to know him, I said, you'll love him just like everybody else. And for a while, Sandy had a hard time with Dannis. She couldn't take his style of sense of humor was unique. Come up trip, time to go to D.C. I didn't have the vacation time. I couldn't take time off. About a week before the trip, my lovely bride looks at me and she goes, how would you feel if I went? I thought she was joking. I said, you go, girl. And she did. We double checked with LT first. It was okay. And they said, fine. Sandy can ride. Well, all the way up there, guess who she rode alongside? Dannis. Well, not alongside, but staggered off of Dannis. If I remember right, the first stop, Dannis came over to her and he said, you and I need to talk. And she's thinking, oh shit. Pardon my language, guys, I'm sorry. But that's what she thought. He took her off to the side and he goes, I gotta tell you, you can ride alongside me anytime. That's when they started to bond. Sandy took his death very hard, as we all did. Take everybody's death hard in this club, because we are all brothers. She asked me, she said, why is this hitting me so hard as compared to anybody else? I said, because you grew to love him. You got to know him. He got inside you. You got inside him. I said, that's why it's hitting you hard. Every brick we've ever placed and ever will, these guys hit all of us hard. Because we bond. And that's what it's all about. The brotherhood, whether you're military, law enforcement, firefighters, or no affiliation whatsoever. You wear that patch on your back, you're one of us. And we are all brothers and sisters. Thank you.
We came down to this club from the parent chapter a year ago, and my first experience with Dannis is when we were going out on rides together, and you know, and like to being a motorcycle cop, you always felt safe riding in the pack like I did at work. When I came down here, I never felt so safe with Dannis. It's just like I was. And after he passed away, I kept looking every time to see that, you know, seeing his bike coming up, protecting my six all the time, and he just gave you that comfort when you were riding, and you know, it's better than having Varmint there yelling at me and stuff.
Yeah.
He had a softer way about him.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna miss him. I still miss that bike in my rearview mirror all the time.
Well said.
Dannis was my daddy, and I was patched at Fernandina just this past November. And when we would come back every once in a while, not every weekend or whatever, I'd ask him, Wolf, do you have any regrets yet? And his response was always, regrets about what? I said, you know, about patching me in. And his response then was always, not yet. The day that he was killed, the last real conversation I had with him, he was filling the beer machine in the clubhouse, and I walked up and I said, Wolf, any regrets yet? And he stopped, and he turned and he looked at me, he said no, and stopped effing asking me. I miss him every day. just like Keith, I wait. I look in my mirror to see if he's back there watching us. But I know he's always watching us. We can't see him back there, but he's always there.
So they hauled Top out of here because he was having a little problem, having pains in his arms. And Dannis was his daddy, and he flew here from Minnesota to honor him. Keep him in our prayers too.
I'm the guy who rides in the back of our pack when we run. And Denny wanted to learn how to be in the back of the pack, so I taught him how to be like me. So a lot of these guys.
Poor dog.
He was my brother,
Dannis
and I taught him how to
wasn't
ride the back and how to keep our pack tight. And he took over for me in the back for a long time when I couldn't make rides, and he turned out to be a good rider. He's an excellent rider. It was just somebody else that was at fault. But he is a brother, and he'll be a brother to everybody here in this Now Night chapter.
My husband said everything he said, but I do want to say that Dan is still right for the Marines. He's still here. I love him really so.
This way.
It's all right. Go ahead.
Knights forever, forever knights.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Orlando Knights, present arms. Order arms. Dismiss.